I sat in the darkness and then inward turned, applying some methods I'd only just learned, seeking a peace I could not outward find, concluding such peace would take more than my mind, for my soul is much bigger than ever I've dreamed. Enough for God's Spirit, much more than it seemed. So I'm finding my way to a walk with my God, the one who's been with me each step that I've trod. I went to the people I see every day, asking if anyone might know a way to be happy, a reason to smile, something to believe in for more than a while. But humanity's much more than ever I've dreamed, each one so different, much more than it seemed. So I'm finding my way to this family of mine, a way to give love to each person in time. And it is very much that kind of ongoing adventure. I've often heard the expression, you think you know someone until a particular challenge comes up, because there's something about our challenges that brings out deeper parts of who and what we are. Inventiveness or abilities that we didn't realize we had. I suppose it's kind of like not knowing how much you can lift until you have to lift something even heavier than the last thing you lifted. And in that sense, I suppose it's our failures that tell us where our limits are. And if we aren't willing to fail at least a little bit, to do whatever we can, to do the planning, to prepare ourselves, to do the exercises, to collaborate, to ask people who may have been there or done that before. And after all of that, to take a chance that we won't succeed and that this will tell us where our limits are. That I know how much I can do, but I may even be able to change that by developing a new ability in myself so that I can go even further. When I'm hiking a mountain, for example, it makes a big difference if you've done your aerobics, if you're riding a bicycle or going jogging or doing something so that your lungs are in good shape. And I was told, in my case, I've been active so much of my life, riding bicycle and such, that I didn't notice it so much. But I've been told that if someone first moves to a mountainous region, because of the difference in elevation, there's actually less oxygen in the air, and it's recommended that you spend a couple weeks at that elevation just getting used to the different amount of oxygen in the air, so that your body can adjust to being at a higher elevation. If you're used to there being more oxygen and you go to higher elevation, the first thing you usually notice is that you get tired more easily. Sometimes you're short of breath. I had one friend who walked up a steep incline and for a moment became very frightened because he'd never had an experience before of not being able to breathe. And it was like he was trying to breathe and he couldn't pull in enough air. And so he mentally told himself to remain calm, and he just began breathing really deeply, and after 15 or 20 seconds the feeling went away and there was enough oxygen that he didn't feel this tightness in his chest anymore. Well, when I first went to hiking up mountains, I was a little careful trying to keep tabs on my body, to notice whether I was feeling short of breath or whether I started having headaches or nausea. All sorts of things that indicate what is commonly referred to as altitude sickness, which if you're hiking high in the mountains and you feel those things, start breathing really deeply, just pumping that oxygen into your system, and sometimes it will go away. If it doesn't, it's a good idea to start heading down again. The other thing you can do is drink a lot of water, because that hydrates the body and helps it to function better. But that's just a couple little tidbits as far as dealing with a particular kind of fall summit. That there's something about reaching a summit that changes the way we define ourselves and changes our ideas of what we're capable of doing. And suddenly, after hiking my first mountain, I could then look at even higher mountains and say to myself, well, if I could do that one, maybe I can do that one. And so it kind of brings me face to face with that question of what is the highest I can go? Maybe that's an important question to me. I didn't feel a need to pursue that question. It's a legitimate question, but I really don't need to climb to the summit of Mount Everest just to see whether or not I can do it. That's 29,000 feet. And as impressive of an accomplishment as that would be, it's not something that I feel a particular need to do. But occasionally there are mountains that come up in my life, metaphorical and literal ones, where I kind of check with my heart and think about it and decide, yeah, I would like to do that. It will make a difference to me. When I first got into bodybuilding, that was one of the interesting things for me, because it was a sport. It was the sport for which I felt least qualified, and so I thought I would be proving the most to myself. In a similar sort of way, though, it's like choosing to hike a mountain, and the fall summit is not always a bad thing. That it's not always a disappointment. Sometimes it's a mile marker. My very first bodybuilding competition, the real goal was not that I had gotten to the greatest bodybuilding competition or I had won a gold medal or anything like that. My accomplishment was simply that I did it. I did all the preparation. I was out on stage. I went through my routine. I did the competition. It was something I had never done before.